Sponsor du Tour de France.
Yesterday, the Tour continued to live up to its tough reputation. 18 riders left the race in the furnace of the south. Today, it's the barren rock of Mont Ventoux, said to be the hottest climb in France, and the mountain mistook the life of Britain's champion Tom Simpson in 1967. It's certain to be a day of attrition once more. Indurain has time to spare, but the race for second place remains a battle between three Frenchmen. Hello again and welcome this morning to Montpellier. Well, you know, the course, they say, which was designed to defeat Miguel Indurain, really does seem to be having the opposite effect. Now we've got the world champion, Lance Armstrong, not riding today. He's abandoned the Tour while lying in 33rd position and now seems to have set his sights elsewhere, as he told us last night.
Just my fatigue, and I need to start preparing for the World Championships, and I can't start that if I'm too tired.
So, 2 tours for Armstrong and still no Paris finish for him. The route today is flat all of the way until the field passed through Carpentras, and then the climb of Mont Ventoux begins. Leaving Montpellier this morning, the field is getting smaller. Apart from Armstrong, John Unzaga and Johan Caprio have not signed in, and Rob Harmeling disqualified yesterday for holding on to his team car. Well, one man who's enjoying the day is Aussie Stephen Hodge. It's his birthday.
And it's my birthday today, and it's going to be really hot. I always get to have my birthday on a really hard day. No luck, but anyway. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Well, they're in joyful mood this morning, aren't they, Paul?
They certainly are, and they should be in for a scorcher because there's absolutely no change in the weather. Sun, sun, and even more sun. Heading towards 38 degrees Celsius on the slopes of the Mont Ventoux with very little wind, although there might be a slight tailwind over the top of the mountain.
Well, you know, if it wasn't for the race, the riders really would have a nice day out enjoying the scenery of the Vaucluse today. France is such a beautiful and diverse country. At the second sprint of the day, it came at 73 kilometres, some 13 kilometres earlier. Eros Poli of Italy had broken clear, and by the time he reached the sprint here in Dijon, he had a lead of 4 minutes and 43 seconds. He was on the attack. So as we start the field climb of Mont Ventoux, Poli's lead is now up to 27 minutes, and near the top of the mountain is Gary Imlach to tell us why this mountain is close to the heart of the Tour de France.
Phil, it's this that makes the Ventoux so special, the monument to the British rider Tom Simpson, who collapsed and died on this climb 27 years ago. At the time, Tom was the only British rider ever to have worn the yellow jersey in the Tour, and in the year that he's been joined in that distinction by Chris Boardman and Sean Yates, it seems appropriate that the race should pass this spot and pay its respects. It was the 13th stage on the 13th of July 1967, when Tom Simpson, still pedalling but barely able to generate any forward motion, had to be helped to the side of the road on Mont Ventoux. He'd already collapsed once just yards earlier and demanded to be put back on his bike. This time, he was taken off for the last time. Attempts at resuscitation at the roadside failed, and Simpson was helicoptered off the mountain, but died before he reached hospital. Traces of amphetamine were discovered in the 1965 world champion's bloodstream, but the official cause of death was asphyxiation. A simple lack of oxygen had killed the only Briton to wear the yellow jersey. All day, fans had left their own tributes. Then, a short time ago, Albert Bouvet of the race organisation joined with former Tour winners Eddy Merckx and Bernard Hinault to pay their respects. Guests of honour were Tom Simpson's widow Helen and his daughter Joanne. It was a necessarily brief ceremony, with the riders climbing Mont Ventoux behind them.
It's incredible. It really is just incredible. We've had such a quite an emotional day, seeing all the people as we were coming along. And it's wonderful to see that he was so respected by everybody, not just the French people.
And you're only 4 when your dad died. How does it feel to be here for the first time?
It feels fantastic. I didn't realise there would be so many people. Lots of people, of course, talked about Daddy, you know, but I really didn't think he was such a hero to many people. And, you know, he's just a daddy to me sort of thing, and, you know, it's just fantastic, really. It's great.
Well, thanks, Gary. And now we're on the climb here of Mont Ventoux, and you can see just how steep it really is. It's biting into the legs now of Eros Poli. He started at the bottom with a lead of 25 minutes, but that time gap is now dropping dramatically.
You can almost feel the pain, actually, as you look at the way he's labouring over his bike here. This is a man who is a great rider on the plains, on the flatlands, not used to this kind of mountain. He's such a big, heavy rider. He's really suffering to get to the top, and he's only halfway up the mountain as it is at the moment, and he'll realise that the main pack and the climbers will be eating into his leads really rapidly now.
But look how this bunch is thinned out now, Paul. We're being slowly driven away from the field here by Pascal Hervé. And that field is trying to grab at straws at the back. I would say we're down to maybe 15 men here. We're only on the lower slopes of Mont Ventoux. We're something like 6 or 7 miles from the top of the climb yet. Hervé pacing his teammate Virenque. Indurain just sitting there on his shoulder. So a little group trying to go away. Jean-Francois Bernard, the man who was the last victor on this mountain when we came up in 1987. He won the time trial here. The year that Stephen Roche went on to win the Tour de France and became the only Irish winner of this race. Well, Jeff, as they call him, knows this road so well, the winner of many big races, but this would be remembered as one of his finest stage wins. While at the front, we've got Pantani going off. Now, this is the man we've seen attack on all of the climbs throughout the Pyrenees, and Pantani's going to test them again very early on, Paul. He goes early all of the time, and this is the sort of move that could give him the stage. Both times he's attacked so far, he's misjudged the finish.
But he did in the Tour of Italy as well. He attacked a long way out, but a couple of times it succeeded, and he took 2 great stage victories in the Tour of Italy, and that is an exciting move by him. But you see, today he's a little bit numb at the moment. He really hasn't got the gap that he wanted straight away. Miguel Indurain hasn't reacted. He realises how far behind him in the overall standings these riders are. But one man he hasn't got to let go too far clear is Luc Leblanc, who is 3rd in the line at the moment.
Now that's a great move. Leblanc has seen the Express leaving the station, and he's gone onto the back wheel here of these 3. And Indurain, I think, might lift the tempo here to keep Luc Leblanc in the pack. There's 8 minutes and 35 seconds separates Indurain from Leblanc. Leblanc is 4th overall. And the 2 Frenchmen, Virenque and de las Cuevas, are between Indurain and Leblanc. Well, Virenque will not react. He's a teammate of Leblanc and would happily concede his 2nd place overall to his teammate. De las Cuevas may not be able to.
Well, I think de las Cuevas is just happy to hang in there because he's not a reputed climber. He's a very courageous rider who has an exceptionally good time trial, which is why he's lying so high in the overall standings at the moment. He'll just be happy if he can hang on to Miguel Indurain's wheel. But this is, I think, what the scenario is going to be for the next few days in the mountains. The Festina squad are going to launch their med at the head of the race and try and put Miguel Indurain under pressure. They realise that he's fallible there. They realise this is the terrain where he can be beaten. And this is a great move by the Festina squad. Number 91 there with the blue jersey, Luc Leblanc, is going to put pressure on Miguel Indurain today. But Big Mig, as they call him, is not the kind of man to panic on a climb like this. He'll let their climbers attack and then slowly bring his rhythm back and try and peg them before the summit. Don't forget, this is a very long climb.
Now, this is the open side of the Mont Ventoux, the giant of Provence, the French flag flying there, but it's an Italian rider leading his way up here as he now will steadily climb up the side of this mountain. There's still something like 4 miles to go to the summit for him. And I'm not sure, but maybe Luc Leblanc has launched an attack here. Surely he hasn't tried to attack Pantani. Maybe our camera is too tight on him. He's still on the wheel of Pantani, I think. But and he is indeed. Luc Leblanc, though, is starting to struggle then because Pantani has got that poker face. He's concentrating and lifting the rhythm just a little bit now. And he's hurting Luc Leblanc. He's just checking to see if that acceleration has done any damage.
Well, that was an awful stare over his shoulder to see if Luc Leblanc was in fact still there and managing to hold on. This man is getting into his rhythm at the moment. What a fantastic climber he is. It's incredible where he came from almost nowhere. He was very sad with the departure of Claudio Chiappucci because I think Chiappucci was a confidant to this rider. The yellow jersey group at the moment, it's still Gonzalez, Arrieta setting the pace at the front, with Miguel Indurain sitting there quite comfortably in second place. He's not worried about Luc Leblanc. He knows Leblanc is over 8 minutes behind him in the overall standings. He won't panic. He'll just try to accelerate as he gets nearer to the summit.
Well, they're saying now that these two riders have 37 seconds lead, and that is all over the group led there by Miguel Indurain's teammates. And it's all the work is being done here by Marco Pantani. As again, he's found himself chasing other riders on the mountains. And from now on, every day there are mountains until the last weekend of this year's Tour de France. A vicious end indeed to what has turned out to be a vicious race. But look at this. Now, this is Indurain now deciding to lift the tempo. Armand de las Cuevas gets his wheel. Virenque gets his wheel. Then comes Conti. He gets on the back. And I think it's Pascal Lino has just about hung on at the back there. But he has just ripped the field apart again here. This man is frightening.
Well, it really is a climb that takes no prisoners, and a lot of riders being condemned to follow in the wake of Miguel Indurain tonight. He's just taken over the ropes now and decided enough is enough. I'm going to get back up there to Luc Leblanc. You thought that you were putting me under pressure, but today I'm the strongest man in the Tour de France. There's a lot of days to go. Don't play with me.
This is now looking like trouble for Luc Leblanc as we see Pantani trying to go away.
Well, what an incredible climber Marco Pantani is. Luc Leblanc fought for many a long kilometre to stay in contact with him, but he just could not do it. Pantani is a pure climber, a race of riders who have disappeared from cycling over many years, and they seem to be making a comeback. These last couple of years, with the arrival of the Colombians in cycling, it seems now that we have pure climbers coming into the international sport of cycling, and Pantani is definitely one of those, and one for the future, and it may well be that we'll have a climber winning the Tour de France in a few years.
Pantani just sits there and pedals and goes clear now as our cameras are allowed into the gap as Leblanc falls back. The relentless pressure being applied by Miguel Indurain, and the little limpet behind him is de las Cuevas, and hanging on for dear life and thinking of third place and a podium in Paris.
And just at the front there, you can just catch a glimpse of Luc Leblanc, and it won't be very long before Miguel Indurain has done exactly what he wanted to do, pulled Luc Leblanc back into the fold.
And there is Leblanc. Luc, who's been dropped by Pantani. Pantani is 6th overall in the race. Leblanc is 4th. And Pantani is looking for around about 3.5 minutes now to get over the top of Leblanc. That's the time he's looking to recover. Leblanc is riding a much heavier gear here. He's taking much more effort to turn it over. And watch the smooth pedaling express come by him. And here he is. Now Leblanc's going to have to make a big effort now to catch onto this line. There'll be a little word of encouragement perhaps from his teammate, and yes there was, because Vichy Virenque looked across to him and said, come on, dig deep.
This is the man who's been at the head of affairs for a long, long time.
In fact, we'll continue up the climb. There is the memorial to Tom Simpson. We're just over a kilometre now from the summit. The plaque that are paid for by British cyclists of their champion Tom Simpson, as we now continue here towards the summit. In fact, Pantani is yet to pass that spot, and this is the little group which is trying to chase him down, led by Indurain, and de las Cuevas is now coming to the front and will set the pace with Miguel. Well, this has been a superb climb for Eros, Poli.
Well, this is really what cycling is all about. It's courage, it's fighting, getting the best out of yourself. Even when you think that you're going to get beaten, this man went out and fought his way to a 25-minute lead. And you know, you still have to get that 25 minutes over the main pack. And Poli has really been a courageous rider today. He's really been one of the top.
As you see the Breton flag of France in the distance there, it's an Italian for the first time ever in the history of the Tour who topped Mont Ventoux, Eros Poli. And now he must be beginning to think, I wonder if I can actually win the stage. I'm quite sure it was never his plan at the start of the attack. This is Pantani. You can see the beacon over to our left, and so that gives you some idea of how far Poli still is ahead of Pantani. And it looks as though Indurain is now getting a bit twitchy again, Paul.
I think he just wanted to check and see how his rivals were doing there, and that little acceleration rapidly got rid of Pascal Lino.
Here comes Marco Pantani. He never caught Poli on the climb, and in fact I think when the clock shows us He's going to be around about 6 minutes still off catching the great Italian non-climber who's gone over the top of Ventoux in first place. And Marco Pantani, the time he's got it down over the last kilometre and a half. In fact, he's going to be inside 5 minutes as he goes over the top. But I wonder, Paul, if that will be enough to catch him before the end.
Well, I think the most important thing is to whether or not Eros Poli can recover from the incredible effort he's had to put in to get his huge carcass over the top of this mountain.
So the chase group comes up to the summit. Over the top is Eros Poli. 4 minutes 31 seconds behind him has gone Marco Pantani. And De Las Cuevas trying to snatch a few mountain points as well, but it is Virenque who takes the next set of points. 5 minutes 58 seconds down. This very select group still has a lot of work to do to get back on terms with the Italian Eros Poli. As they start the descent of Ventoux, we'll take a break. So Eros Poli now facing just 5 kilometres to go. That's 3 miles, and he is going to win the stage of the Tour de France with a superb breakaway that outwitted the field today. He went clear at 60 kilometres, and he rapidly gained a lead of 25 minutes and 27 seconds by the time he got to the slopes of Mont Ventoux. On that climb alone, he lost 20 minutes, but the 5 minutes is going to make all of the difference for him. He's hanging on to most of it. He's now doing what he can do better than most riders in this race, and that's ride the flat roads alone. But I'll tell you, on the way down the mountain today, Miguel Indurain, one of those things that always worries a leader is an accident, and he had a very narrow escape on a sharp right-hand bend. He lost control of his back wheel. He locked it up when he realised he was on the wrong line. Then out of the toe clip came his right foot, and he wobbled a bit. He went right to the edge of the road before he got himself back out of trouble. I'm sure the rider behind him, Roberto Conti, was wondering where Miguel was going to go next. And here we have now Eros Poli arriving at the 1 kilometre kite, and the tears are beginning because he never dreamt of this. When he came through Carpentras 2 hours ago, his lead was 23 minutes and 33 seconds, and he thought that might just about get me to nearly the top of Mont Ventoux. Better than that, his lead went up to 25 minutes and 27 seconds, and then they went for him on Ventoux. They took back 20 minutes of that time. He's held the 5-minute advantage, and in fact, he started to go away again by a few seconds. Eros Poli can now prepare himself for the greatest moment of his professional cycling career.
Well, it's going to be very emotional for him when he comes up the last 400 or 500 metres here, while there's a little bit of action in the main field here, the yellow jersey group. Everybody's trying to jump clear, and that looks to me as if that's Alberto Eli from the GBMG squad going away from the rest. But this is the man who's been racing today. This is the man that everybody will throw their hats in the air for. Eros Poli has done an incredible ride today, and I'm fairly sure this morning he could not have believed that he would be a stage winner in this year's Tour de France.
Eros Poli is all smiles. He used to love to race in Australia. He rode the Commonwealth Bank Classic in '88. He won a stage there in the Pro Mazda Tour after that, and now he's got his next big win. It's come a few years later, but Eros Poli salutes the crowd. He takes a bow. This is incredible. This very, very colourful Italian never broke away today to win. He broke away to survive, and my goodness me, did he survive. So Eros Poli is in and can take all of the plaudits from the crowd as we look down on the chase group now, and an attack going immediately by Roberto Conti. His wheel taken by Pascal Lino, and then Eli is on the back wheel of Lino. So they're racing for second place, and we're waiting to see if Miguel Indurain himself will take an interest in the finish today. And Indurain is driving the front of this group here.
Well, that was an excellent move there by Eli when he jumped clear. It always happens when a group comes together. Those riders who are chasing from behind with Alex Zula, they really put the pressure on the descent. And in the front, Miguel Indurain wasn't too worried about getting any time. Once they'd come back to Pantani, as far as he was concerned, the race was over. And they obviously eased a little bit and allowed everyone to come back. And then Eli launched a counter-attack, which looks as if it's going to be quite successful now.
And they're going to shortly pass under the 1 kilometre to go, and I think they might well hold off that chase group now. A good move, as Paul says, by Elie. And we've had one or two riders continue to reduce the size of the field in the Tour de France. We know that Jean-Claude Colotti has given up en route today. I think there'll be more when we see the list later on tonight. Emmanuel Magnan, another one from Castorama, who's gone. But these are the riders now who face up to another day tomorrow on the road to Alpe d'Huez. There's no let-up in the Tour de France now until we get to Paris next Sunday. Under the kilometre to go for the third group on the road. We're going to the men who are racing now for second place.
Well, now everybody's teeing up for position. Pasqualino is obviously thinking about last year when he was sprinting for a stage victory. Today he'll be sprinting for second place on the road, because it's a long time now since Eros Poli came over the line and took the victory on this stage of the Tour de France, and it's going to be a sprint for second. Pasqualino is in second place at the moment, which is an ideal situation to start from.
Well, they'll spot the banner very shortly now. Lino got the only French stage win of the Tour de France last year. And now he's going to come off second wheel here to try and make it a second place. He goes now. Conti's not a great sprinter. He should die away. But watch out for Elie, who is on the far right. Elie is going to take Lino on. And I think Elie, who started this move, is going to come clear and get second place. First and second for Italy. France get third. And Italy there again. They've had a great day, haven't they? And now the chase for the line, led by the leaders of the Tour de France. They've all stayed together in the little bunch here. Armand de las Cuevas, Richard Virenque, Alex Zula in the pink, and in the yellow, of course, Miguel Indurain. And Virenque is going to come through and have a great finish again for him ahead of de las Cuevas on the line. And on the far side of the road too, I think, was Pantani. And there he is. He conducts his own music, this man. He's enjoyed his day today, although he never dreamt of victory until the last 20 kilometres, when he began to feel things were going his way. Throws off his eye shield, which has been with him all the way around the course today, and what a course it was. So after a breakaway lasting almost 100 miles, Eros Poli, the winner today, ahead of Alberto Elie by 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Third was Pasqualino. Fourth, Roberto Conti, and fifth, Richard Virenque. And on the podium, Eros Poli still throwing kisses to the crowd tonight. Yes, indeed, a beautiful day for a stage win, but Eros Poli posing no danger at all to the overall leader of this race, Miguel Indurain. In fact, there was no change at all in the top 5 places. Indurain still ahead of Virenque, de las Cuevas, Leblanc, and Poulnikov. But you know, there must have been a moment when Indurain wondered whether he would come down Mont Ventoux on his bike or off the side, because his back wheel went and his leg came out and he just about got round the corner. Well, his luck held, and tomorrow he should get plenty of practice as the race goes into the Alps with that marvellous finish on top of Alpe d'Huez. And remember, the programme coming to you at 8 o'clock. Well, today on Mont Ventoux, the Tour de France paid homage to one of its family, Tom Simpson, the man the French always referred to as Gentleman Tom. We'll never forget him either. Goodbye.